I'm Julia Kelleher, and this, of course, is
Belinda Ford.
And we are broadcasting to you live from Bend, Oregon, here in our new digs, which is kind of exciting. And this is our first JTV episode since moving. So we're still getting stuff set up, so we appreciate your patience with us if we have any technical issues. Right now, we're only working on one microphone, so dear Belinda's going to have to lean over me to talk. That's okay. I really wanted her here today because we're talking about difficult clients. I wouldn't really say difficult clients, but issues you run into, right?
Yeah.
So problems, things they say, requests they make, where you're you just want to drop your jaw and go, why did you ask me that kind of things? Yeah.
Yeah. Things that you don't necessarily have an automatic response for.
Right? You're just kind of shocked that they asked. So that's what today's episode is about. So we're so excited that you're here. Of course, the freebie today has everything to do with, we're covering 5 today. We're covering 5 big major issues. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole host of them that you put together in the freebie, right?
Yeah, 10 additional.
10 additional.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to download the freebie. Of course, we'll tell you how to get that here in a minute. But the reason I wanted Belinda here is because she's the one, you deal with this a lot.
More, yeah.
Yeah. She always says, I hate talking on the phone. Don't you?
I do, even the nice ones. I just am not a phone person.
She's really good at it, though. That's why I make her do it. No, she probably hates me for that. But
it's not as bad. I wouldn't say I hate it now. I used to hate it. Now it's just something I have to do.
So there's hope, right? There's hope for people out there.
There's hope for you.
If you hate the phone, this is living, breathing proof right here that there is hope, right?
Yeah.
That it doesn't.
It only took 3 years.
That's really encouraging, Belinda. No, it does. It does. You do. The responses do start to get automated.
Yes.
You do start to have kind of the canned response that you're going to say every single time. The words vary.
Yeah.
But as you start to say these things over and over and over again back to your client, or the responses, you'll get used to saying them, and you'll learn to say them in ways that are nice.
Yeah.
Is that what I want to say? In ways that are just, positive, I guess, with an optimistic attitude, I guess, is really what it comes down to, right? So anyway, Belinda's here to help us today with this. She'll talk about what she says. I'll kind of chime in, having had a lot of years of doing it myself. And so hopefully that will help you get some responses to these common issues. I know we've been having a lot of this happen in the Facebook group lately. We've been having students just with difficult clients requesting just odd, strange things, or stuff that's just completely off the rocker. You're not going to do that, but you need to know how to respond to that client in a kind way that doesn't make them upset. And of course, there's always that irate client. And I know so often when we have challenging clients, the first thing that we want to do is kind of go to that negative place, and we want to get upset and get mad. I still do it to this day when I have a frustrating client. I'm like, oh, why are they doing that? And I just immediately think that they're being difficult, that they're being the ones who are challenging. But more often than not, it's just innocent ignorance on their part.
Yep.
It's they don't know what's going on. They're too busy. They don't know how to respond to us.
They just don't get it.
Yeah, they don't. And it's okay. It's an innocent, I don't get it. It's not malicious or mean or purposeful anyway. And I think the biggest takeaway from this entire lesson is going to be to keep that in the back of your mind. Always give your client the benefit of the doubt that they don't really know anything of what's going on, and it's our job to educate them, and it's our job to have a positive attitude about what they're thinking. They're not trying to get away with things maliciously. I mean, 9 times out of 10, every once in a while, of course, there's that pain in the booty client who's just really downright mean. But I truly believe that most people have good hearts, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
And if you just approach every single difficult client with that mentality that they do have a good heart and they're not trying to be difficult, then I think it'll help you get through it easier and with less anxiety on your part. So shall we dive in?
Yeah.
Let's dive in. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and that will get us to our keynotes. And you guys can actually, so I'll take the video off so you guys don't have to see our mugs all the time. All right, so the beautiful part about dealing with difficult clients and actually having responses to them is that it gives you confidence. You're gonna, by the end of this episode, I want you to have some confidence on a few of the issues, the common issues that are out there. So as always, this edition of Chocolate, or our, I guess we still call it chocolate. Yeah.
They're kind of interchangeable.
It's interchangeable, isn't it? Well, this is episode 32. It's a Jewel TV production. We're happy to bring it to you through Jewel TV. And if you'd like to see this episode, if you're watching on YouTube after the fact, after it airs live, you can see the archives of Jewel TV, all 32 episodes at jewel-tv.com. You can also download this week's freebie there. Belinda worked really hard to create that for you and help you out. So go ahead and go to jewel-tv.com, and what you're going to see is a little opt-in screen like this that'll say, hey, sign in or give us your email. It's free, but not really.
Not really.
You just have to give us your email. That's it.
But we don't bug you.
We promise not to be obnoxious. We are not daily emailers, maybe once a week at the most.
Yeah, usually for Jewel TV, and then if there's special announcements, obviously there's more. But
yeah, and of course, if we have special product offerings coming out or workshops or things like that, that gets you immediately on our email list. So of course, we'll tell you what the freebie is at the very end. Once again, remind you how to opt in. But let's get started on 5 difficult clients and how to respond to them. Ooh, the first one, the "you're too expensive" remark. How on earth can you charge that? I mean, have you ever gotten this phone call where, obviously, how on earth can you charge that is kind of an extreme example, but we actually came across this.
We just had a client.
Did we just a student who dealt with this?
That, yeah.
Yes. So can you explain what happened? You read the post a little bit more.
I did read the post. So it was just a basic inquiry call. And when she got to pricing, I can't remember, she didn't go into what happened before they talked about pricing. So I don't know if it was the first thing, which might be part of the
issue. Yeah.
The fixing. But so she gave her pricing, and the client was like, "Are you kidding me? Who's going to pay that for photos? I can't believe you charged that." Just totally went off on her. And this is not even someone that booked. This is just someone inquiring.
That is crazy. First of all, that blows me away. And second of all, it reminds me of a situation I actually encountered last night. We have like these girlfriend swap sites, Facebook groups in our local area where moms around the area will post used stuff for sale, kids' clothing, housewares, decor, really anything. It's kind of like an ongoing Facebook group garage sale. Mm-hmm. And so this young girl, super cute, sweet, had just moved to the area. She was in her mid-20s. She just got married, and she was posting her babysitting services. And she posted her rates, and like immediately within 30 minutes, 3 or 4 women just bashed her for being too expensive. Like, how on earth can you charge that? I would have to work just to pay for your babysitting. And I was blown away. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, there are people. First of all, this girl posted her qualifications.
Yeah.
She posted how good she was. Like,
she went to school for it.
Exactly.
She had years of experience, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she was, awesome. Like, she was a flight attendant. She was CPR certified, safety. This girl was early childhood psychological education. Over the top qualified. And these women were basically bashing her for being too expensive. And it kind of peeved me a little bit. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. This girl has every right to charge the rate she wants to charge. You have no right to bash her for that. If you don't like it, just move on. Say, hey, I'll think about it. Or, just don't even look at the post. And I think the same thing goes for customers. When they say that, I think they're just the veil of the internet, email, the veil of the phone, just makes them feel like they can just say what they want. And usually it's not something they would say directly to your face, which frustrates me because, side note, first of all, I wish people would treat you like they do in person, whether you're on the internet or email or phone or whatever. But the biggest thing to do here is to just understand her perspective. If this is said to you on the phone or via email, you can either, make a response really short and quick and say, hey, custom photography is not for everybody. I certainly understand if you can't afford us, and then leave it at that. Or you can go into a little bit more and say things like, there's different levels of service and experience, qualifications, safety training that goes into each and every different photographer. We happen to be the creme de la creme. We are highly, and you can explain your education, the safety training you have, whatever it may be. and say that's why we are priced based on our experience, the level of our overhead, our costs, etc. We understand this is the type of work we do, the type of products we produce, and we understand that we're not the right fit for everybody, and that's okay. We're happy to refer you to someone you can afford. And we do that, don't we? We've had the situation where, do you remember anyone in particular? Does one stand out, B?
I can't remember one specifically, but usually if they, we haven't had clients like totally go off on me, like this poor student of ours, like my heart totally goes out to her. But if people say something about it being out of their budget, I'll say like what you said, I understand that, we're a boutique portrait studio with emphasis on, the printed art, and that's not necessarily something that everyone can get right now. And if you're really interested in getting photos, because the newborns, usually it's for newborns because the newborn phase is so precious and fleeting, I'd be happy to refer you to other photographers. And I don't necessarily know the pricing, and so I'll tell them that, I know people that we respect and would want
to do ours,
would give quality images to, but I don't necessarily, so I'll tell them that, like, I'm not sure exactly what their pricing is, but here's their names or whatever. They can go to their website and check it out themselves.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone cheaper. It just has to be an alternative.
Right.
And, sometimes I'm pretty strategic in my alternatives and what I provide. And I will give a list of, the more hobbyist photographers, but then I also qualify that with, with a newborn especially, it's important to make sure that each person you hire has safety training. Your little baby is very fragile, and immune system is very weak. And it's one thing we pride ourselves on. I don't know the status of these other photographers and what their safety training is, but first and foremost, please, ask them about that and make sure that they have all those qualifications in place before you hire them, because it's a really important facet of newborn photography.
Yeah.
And then once you say that and they realize and we've had, I think a couple times in the past, we've had people call back and be like, okay, I'll stretch to do it.
Yeah. Well, then we have the blessing that no one really, obviously there's other photographers in our area and they shoot babies, but no one really has a similar style as you here. And so that's,
a huge differentiation.
That we have, we can recommend these other people, but their style is a lot different. So you'll have to be the judge as to what ultimately you want.
And make your own choice. And, that's a benefit. It's also a unique selling point for us. And so we do end up booking several of them. But like I said, there's people who are dreaming and they know they can't afford it and they call anyway just to see. And that's okay. I've done that before with items, like furniture. Yeah. I'll go on websites that I know I can't afford, but I just sit there and dream, that kind of thing. And I think your clients are the same way. Okay, let's dive into number 2, the I want to see more images remark. When your client said, we had this again, it was Crystal Torino, right? I think that was her name. She had an issue where she had a maternity client who said, she's in the beginning, we've been following this story for a little bit in the group, and she took the images. The client did not like the images or didn't like the way she looked in them. And I think that had a lot to do with just pregnancy and being overweight and not feeling it. The images Crystal took were beautiful. And then she didn't like the images, but she ended up purchasing some anyway. Is that how it worked? And then she wanted to see more.
I didn't see that one.
I think she wanted to see more after the fact. And so Crystal was really struggling with, do I show her more online? Because this woman was demanding online. And, we suggested to her.
So she does IPS.
I believe she does IPS. So when
came back, she did her IPS appointment and the woman didn't like how she looked.
Yes.
So she wanted to see more to see if she liked the way she looked in other ones.
There's an extra step in there. She bought some, left, I think, and Crystal might have to correct us if we're wrong, left the IPS appointment, but then when she got home, she called or emailed and demanded that Crystal post more images online so she could look at them.
To see if she liked them better than the ones that she got?
I guess so. I don't know the whole story there. Goodness. But regardless, that's a challenging situation.
Yeah.
And our advice to Crystal was, say, hey, yeah, we're happy to schedule an additional IPS appointment for you to come back and see more and purchase more. And I would actually suggest taking that a step further and making her pay a fee for that ordering appointment. And say, an additional ordering appointment incurs a $100 fee. That covers our time to edit and retouch additional images from your session. I would also say something like, please note, we do truly pick the best ones of the bunch. And the images that we don't show you are things that are like duplicates, things that look very similar. So if you want to see those, we certainly can show them to you, but we do need to retouch and edit them. And the additional IPS appointment fee covers our time to do that. Does it? No, but at least you'll get something out of the deal for bringing her back.
Right.
So, you know, you can do that. I want to see more images, but I think the kiss of death is to do things online, is to show those images online. And that's where you're going to run into problems, because then what you're doing is there's a discrepancy. There's a discrepancy between what your policies say and what the client is experiencing. And you don't ever want to do that. You always want to stick to your policies in the best way that you know how. And we'll get to online galleries in a few minutes, but I think first and foremost, you need to be really clear with your policies up front. And we have this in our policies, don't we? Like, we show you a certain number of images. They're the ones that are artistically rendered and Julia has personally chosen, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Is in our policies, and our clients sign the contract that states all that up front before we even shoot the session.
Yep. And I tell them in the phone call too.
Yeah, she reiterates, Belinda covers all of this in the phone call, so that not only are they hearing it, but they're also seeing and reading it. I mean, and we know for a fact that not all clients read.
Most of them probably don't read.
Yes, it's a challenge. But, you know, I always allow for people to have additional purchases. But a lot of times it's just reassuring, or specifically finding out why the client doesn't like the original set of images. And I've had situations where I've really shot badly. Like, you know, oh gosh, what, 4 or 5 years ago? Was it 5? No, maybe 6 years ago. We had a client where I did a mini session. It was in full sun, and I was trying to find shade, and I was in a hurry, and I found this dappled shade instead, and it was a hot mess. I mean, the images, like, these poor kids had like white streaks on their faces, and it was not my best work. I fully admit that. And the mom came back to me. It was one of those mini session things where we just produced a bunch of images and then provided them with the digitals. It was kind of a quick and dirty type thing, which we don't do anymore. It might have been 7 years ago. It was a long time ago.
I don't remember that, so it's got to be before me.
So it's 6 years or further.
6, yeah.
And she didn't like the images, and she was really disappointed. And at first I was like huff and puff, you know, but then when I took a look at the images and realized, I went, oh man, I really didn't do a very good job. And I offered her a mini session reshoot, and we did that. We produced the images, and she was perfectly happy. So sometimes it's a matter of really examining yourself and going, did I screw up? Like, did I make a mistake, and should I fix it? And I think that's an important thing to be able to recognize. Okay, so we can't come back for a preview appointment. Have we heard this?
Yeah.
Yep, we've heard it. We're both thinking of the same client, aren't we?
Probably.
We just gave each other the look, like, oh yeah, that knowing look. Oh, that client.
I don't really get a whole lot of pushback, because before they even book or have committed or anything, I tell them, this is how our process works. And you come back after your session to view your images and make final product and print decisions.
Yeah, it's like just a given.
Know that.
Yeah, it's a given from up front.
Yep.
And there's never even a question. We have had people ask.
We've had, some of our out-of-town clients have asked because they don't want to have to come back.
Yeah.
But that's their choice for choosing a photographer that's out of town.
Exactly.
So
they are okay with that. We have thought about, and I would suggest considering a same-day service, because we're in a market that's very tourism oriented, and we have a lot of family reunions here. And with my what was I going to say? With my area becoming so much, I mean, there's a new hotel across the street. My whole retail complex is just exploding with energy and with people and businesses. We're getting a lot, and we're starting to get referred by some of the resort companies out here.
Yep.
We're thinking about doing like a family reunion same day service type thing, where we would photograph their session in the evening, clearly, but then the next day, literally, they would come back in the afternoon for their IPS appointment, so they can get it all done while they're here on vacation. And I think Jane Johnson does this in Hawaii. She's a wonderful maternity and family photographer out there. And it's brilliant, because she actually does same day service. Well, she'll do sunrise sessions on the beach for baby moons. And then that evening, she'll show up at the client's resort and do an IPS appointment that night with them and bring champagne and sparkling cider for the mom. She makes it this whole experience, and they spend a fortune with her. And then that's because they're on vacation. They're on vacation, they're spending money. If she used to do like Skype appointments, long distance online after they got home, but at that point, they've already spent the money and they don't want to spend any more on their portraits. So getting them while they're on vacation is critical. And there's a combination of, yeah, they're on vacation, but also just that quick turnaround, that 24-hour turnaround that makes the client go, oh, this is amazing. What service I'll spend on this? The emotion is still super high from that session. Mm-hmm. So you could offer a same-day appointment service, obviously for a much higher fee. You know, there has to be like a rush fee or something like that. So for example, if we're going to do it for our tourism family reunion type thing, we're going to have it like built into our system. But I've had multiple requests from clients out of town, and we've now implemented a system where, yeah, we'll turn it around in 24 hours, but there's a significant fee for that they have to pay. But that's the privilege of being able to be put in front of the line, so to speak, to get ahead of everyone else.
Right.
But you can also offer online meetings. Like I said, Skype meetings do work. Use them sparingly. I use them as an absolute last resort, only when I absolutely have to. But regardless, I think the thing is I just never do an online gallery, no matter what, without images being paid for. Yeah.
Well, and I was just going to say, like, going back to the client we were both thinking of when we got to this point, what helped us narrow it down to them coming back, that family coming back, was figuring out why they didn't want to come back.
Yes.
Like, kept probing, like, what is, and I just flat out asked her, you know, can I ask you, what is it that makes you hesitant to come back? Is there a specific reason that you're not wanting to come and do the appointment? And that's really what got down to the
real reason.
And the reason why she didn't want to come back.
And the real reason was her previous photographer simply uploaded all the raw files as JPEG previews for her online.
And had her basically cull them and pick what she wanted.
Yeah, so she would get 400 to 500 images from her old photographer, and she would be expected to narrow it down to the ones she really wanted, and then that photographer would retouch them, which that right there is just overwhelming to the client. Right. So she was really worried that in this IPS appointment, she was going to get 400 images from me. Yeah. Well, of course, if someone sends you 400 images, you need a few days to look at them, not an hour or two. Yep. So that was her real concern. And once she voiced that and we assuaged her fears and said, hey, we're only going to show you 30 to 40. We pick the best ones, fully retouch them. You see finished images when you come to see us. Yep. Then she kind of breathed a sigh of relief and was willing to come in, and all went well with the ordering appointment. So yep. Belinda's absolutely right. Find out the real reason. And sometimes that means just being upfront, kind, yep. but upfront, and just asking, hey, is there a reason? How can we help us help you? That kind of mentality. All right. Number 4, the threat of a bad review from a customer. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. A customer is irate with you, and they are mean, just downright evil people, which happens, not very often, but it happens. And they threaten to write a bad review, or they do write a bad review about you. And I learned this lesson the hard way, because I, in my early in my career, had a bad review written about me, and I was too chicken to do anything about it. I was scared to approach the problem. I was scared to approach the client, and I didn't know how to fix it because my skill set wasn't able. And so I ended up getting a bad review on one of the online sites, and it kind of hung over me for several years and made me feel awful. Like, as the years went by, I was like, man, I just ruined that client's session. Every time they look at those images, they're not thinking positive thoughts. I hate this. Like, it was just that sinking pit in your stomach kind of feeling. So if a client does threaten this kind of behavior, first of all, we all know it's just mean. Like, you don't want to do that. Yeah, so they can use it as a manipulation factor, and I get that. But you always want to offer to fix the problem no matter what. But at the same time, you want to offer a solution that fits within your business model. here's where there's a huge balance of standing your ground, but also being very kind. Like, and you always have to come from an understanding perspective. You always have to mirror back the client's issues. So say, for example, with Crystal's issue, this mom is very upset, and say, for example, hypothetically, she decides to threaten her with a bad review. Crystal needs to just sit her down and have an honest, forthright phone call with her, and honestly let the woman berate her a little bit, because she's going to, because she's upset. The woman's mad. She wants to take it out. This is all hypothetical, of course. This hasn't happened, but she wants to take it out on someone, and she's going to take it out on the photographer. She's going to take it out on you, and you just have to take it.
Take it. Yep.
And come from an understanding place, and let her yell and scream at you if she wants to, but always offer to help fix the problem. Just say, you know what, I want to make this right. I want to help you. I understand you're not happy. I'm not quite sure how to help you, and you need to talk me through that, and I will do my best within my power and within my business model and budget to be able to fix the issue. If it's my fault, I'm happy to give you a refund. I'm happy to repair it start to finish. I'm happy to reshoot, whatever. But if it's not my fault and there's not much I can do, then we'll do what we can to work through the issue, but there may be some limitations. So let's discuss the problem, work through it, and see what we can come up with. If you approach it with that kind of just very direct but kind and openness, and let the client vent. Sometimes that's all they need to do is just vent.
Yep.
And that will help a lot. And if they already have posted a bad review, then you always want to respond to that review in the public light, and respond with positivity, and say, even if it's your fault and you know it's your fault, then admit that and say, hey, you know what? We did screw up. We want to make it right. We've tried, make the attempts to call them and talk to them. Say, hey, we've tried to call you and work through this issue. You're not responding. We would really love to help fix it. It's not in our good, we don't like to have a customer upset with us. Regardless of the review, what's important to us is that you feel happy on the outside end of it. And if you say that in a public response to a review, you're going to look like the stand-up guy. Mm-hmm. You're going to look like the person who actually wanted to take responsibility for the problem. You apologize for it publicly, and you want to make it right. And that right there is huge, because I think the entire world understands that people make mistakes.
Yeah.
And if you own up to it, mm-hmm. it's gonna be in your best interest to own up to it. I mean, like, the classic example are all these politicians. I can't stand politicians because I worked in journalism for years, and they would just, a lot of them can be dishonest. Not all of them, of course. There's a lot of good politicians out there, but if something goes wrong and it's their fault, they don't own up to it. And it really drives me crazy. Like, try to sweep it under the rug, and it doesn't do you any good. As a matter of fact, it makes the situation worse. So always own up to your mistakes. Do your best to help walk your client through it. And sometimes it's just a matter of eating the money. There's been times where I've eaten the money, and we are thinking of exactly the same client again, I know, but you just have to, like, cut your ties, refund them, and get out of there. Because when you refund them, there's nothing they can do. And they can't complain. They can't give you a bad review. There's nothing in their recourse to do when you have refunded them. So sometimes that's the ultimate, like, nail in the coffin for you to seal the deal and to get rid of them, is to just refund them, get rid of them, and then never work with them again. And they don't have any recourse against you if you've refunded them. And while it stinks to do all that work and refund them, you have to account for these 1 in 100 clients or less who will come into your business. That's why your prices need to be the way that, you need to charge appropriately for your work, so that when you do run across this, it's not like a stick in the heart when you lose the money. You can handle it. Your business can take it.
Well, and you're a master at kind of talking them down too. Like, we've had, like, newborns, especially if you don't shoot newborns, it might not be as critical, but with newborns, like, they wait like 3 months to contact us saying they don't like stuff. And you're really good about talking to them about, well, we're happy to try and fix what you don't like with what we have, but your baby is like 3 times the size that it was, and we can't, like, redo that. If you had come to me originally I would have been happy to, do more. And like, you're such a master with wording that.
Thanks. Well, in that situation, a good response would be if it's really bad and you need to make up for it, you can say, oh, you know what? Well, we'll do just a complimentary 1-year shoot.
Right.
I want to make sure you're happy. We'll throw in the 1-year shoot. And would I give everything away? No, I'd probably just offer the session fee. I think it depends on the situation or what happened. But you can always look forward and make it right that way. And while, you probably cringe when that client walks through the door again, I always look at it as a challenge to make that client happy again. To like say, okay, I'm going to turn this sucker around. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to make them walk out of here just loving me again. How can I do that? And when you really dig deep into that place of kindness in your own heart and say, I want to fix this with that openness and that willing to change, I think that's when clients respond the best. And they could end up being some of your most, scream from the top of the mountaintops refer type people. Those can end up being your best clients. So, okay. Should we go on to number 5?
Yep.
And chime in here. I know I'm chatty Cathy over here, but
some of these are things that I push to you because I
because you don't know how to deal with them. Got it.
I'm learning along with them.
You're so cute. All right. Demanding an online gallery for ordering. We kind of addressed this a little bit before, but I'd like to really solidify this even more.
Yeah.
You talk about this up front right away, right?
Yeah. Well, and just as a disclaimer, this is assuming that you don't do all digital online gallery sales.
Yes. If you do IPS.
Because if you do, then obviously
this is a mute point, right? It's a totally mute point.
But I don't know if I've ever had anyone ask about it, actually.
Really?
They ask about digitals, but not like, well, can I just get them online?
Yeah.
Just those couple of clients over the years that have thought coming in.
For the IPS appointment. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we've had people that, or like one lady that just, the timing wasn't right. Like one client that I'm thinking of, like they had moved temporarily or temporarily relocated because of a job or something.
Yeah.
But she wanted to do Christmas stuff, but she hadn't had her IPS yet because they were moving back before they did that. And so she was kind of fighting us like, well, can't you just put them online? Cause I'm coming in.
Yeah.
So there was kind of a thing there. But again, I know it's so much easier said than done. It was actually making that freebie was a good exercise for me. To
Good.
Get the verbiage, but it's really all about sticking to your policies. And most people don't fight you on it. If you just say this is how it is, they go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
true.
saying, we don't put gallery or we don't put images online without payment.
Simple as that.
It's too easy these days for people to take them online and
electronically.
And we say that to them.
We do say that to them, and we say it kindly and honestly.
Of course.
And I think a few years ago it was a little more challenging when the digital revolution was a little newer.
Really came up. Yeah.
But nowadays people understand how easy it is for images to be stolen, et cetera, et cetera.
Shared and all of
exactly.
That too.
So we just make sure right up front, and Belinda tells them our process, the IPS, and we just tell them if they ask, we tell them up front, hey, nope, we don't offer online galleries without full payment being made. Once you purchase your digital files in the IPS appointment, the in-person ordering appointment, then we will put your images online to an online professional lab where family and friends can order prints and download files themselves as well. And of course, no one can access that gallery unless you give them the password. So in other words, we're telling them that after they purchase the files, we're happy to put them online. And that's usually what they want. That's usually all they want.
And then they go, oh, okay.
Yeah, they go,
they don't
okay.
necessarily mean before.
Yeah, it's an ignorant question. We immediately assume that, I want an online gallery. That means
they want to steal the images
or see them before they've purchased them, and that's not the case at all. They just want to be able to share them from online because half the time they don't know how to get them online. They don't know where to put them, where everybody can access them. And Facebook just isn't really appropriate for uploading photos for family and friends to see. That's all they're asking about is, I just want to be able to share these with my family and friends. Okay, yes, we do have an online lab site for you, and you'll be able to share that with family and friends once a purchase has been made. So, and then of course, like Belinda said, just explain why you don't do it if someone really wants to do an online ordering gallery. It's too easy these days for not our clients, but it's too easy these days for folks to right click on images and save them. And so in order to protect our livelihood, we've had to institute a policy of no online galleries before a purchase is made. Now, sometimes if there's an extenuating circumstance or a situation where you just have to do it, because I know that comes up, you can offer one at a non-refundable price. And what I used to do is I used to make it the minimum order price. So I'll offer an online ordering gallery for $750, and that is our minimum order at the studio.
For create
a collection. But create your own collection is the only place where you can get all the images.
Yep.
So in order to be able to put all the images online, they have to be in a collection. So the minimum collection order is $750, and then from there, I can put the images online, and then that $750 will go towards a collection purchase of some kind. If they don't order within 3 days, they forfeit that $750. Now, have I ever instituted that policy? No, we're usually pretty lenient about that, but we say it because we want them to be quick about it, okay? So that's, I think, the important thing is to be able to still offer it if you absolutely have to, at that non-refundable price that you're happy with. If you got an order for it, you'd be okay with it, okay? It's just like, if you go into a store, like they're not going to allow you to borrow a dress from the store to take it home and try it on without paying for it. That's not going to happen. So it's the same policy, and sometimes it just needs to be explained to a client for them to truly get it. Okay, so those are the 5. We're going to take questions. Of course, I know probably lots of you have some questions about difficult clients, but first, what it really comes down to, guys, is sticking to your policies, always having a kind and open heart, keeping your communication open and very out there, very in plain sight, and then finding workarounds for your clients so that they're happy and you meet your policies. So let's talk about how to get the freebie, other difficult issues, and how to respond. We put together a list of 10 additional issues that you can go ahead and download with almost script word for word answers and responses.
There's like our names and stuff in it, and sometimes it says we, so you will want to read through it and make sure,
exactly.
and make sure that it's aligned with your policies, because our prices and policies are going to be different than a lot of yours. So,
but at least it gives you a starting point.
But it is pretty much copy and paste.
Nice. So to get that, go to jewel-tv.com, opt in. If you're already a member of jewel-tv.com, you can go to your Jewel Education account, log into Jewel TV, and you'll be able to download the freebie automatically without having to opt in again. And of course, if you're watching this live on Facebook, or after the fact on YouTube, you can join our Facebook group to see these episodes live, and of course put in your own questions as well. You can find me here at these different social media sites. We always love to have folks follow us whenever they can. So I'm going to go ahead and, of course, Belinda's here too. She's going to take questions as well, get us back to, so we can actually see, people can see video of us. There we go. Awesome. We're back online here. And so we wanted to take a couple of your questions. I know that folks need help with certain issues as well. So let's address them. Beth handed those to us. And
Morgan wants to know if we include our policies in the welcome packet.
We do.
Our welcome packet is electronic, though. We don't have a physical one yet.
Yes, we're building a physical one now. We are. But we also include it. It's in a couple places. It's in our contract. So they electronically sign for our contract, and we do that through 17 Hats. And then we also have a client welcome site, a back-end welcome site, which you can access. What product do we have in our shop that allows you to access that again? Is it the newborn session booking system? The newborn session booking system, we give access to that entire back-end website that we provide to our clients. And so it's there, it's in the contract, and then when I send them home from the session, they get a little ordering kit that has all of our ordering policies on the back as well. So there's several places where our policies are addressed.
So Ariane says, I have clients agree to my policies before the session, and then I had a client insisted on free shipping, etc., which I'm guessing means was against the policies, and refused to acknowledge that they were against the policies. Then she wrote a scathing review despite me offering a home delivery for her of her print.
Yeah, that's just a mad client. And I think that warrants a phone call. And just, hey, I understand you're upset. We really want to make this right. I know our policies do state that we don't have free shipping, but because you're disappointed in this and you didn't get a chance to read the policies that you signed, I would love to be able to offer you a drop-off delivery. We'll go ahead and take it to your house free of charge. That's what I would say. So in other words, hey, you didn't read, duh, but I'll make it right. You know, you say it in a nice way.
And a friendly disclaimer, people do not read.
No.
Ever.
They don't.
And half the time they don't listen.
So you have to like beat them on the head.
You have to do it so many times. Yeah,
beat them on the head. So, but yeah, it's true. And I think that's why we have it in so many different locations.
Yes.
We have things in so many different spots for that specific reason, because people don't read.
Verbally and in writing, and especially with the clientele we work with, if any of you have been pregnant yourselves and had newborns, your memory goes downhill so fast. Like you don't remember anything, you can't keep track of stuff. So we just want to make sure that we give it to them. And it's there. If they don't read it, then that's their responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And granted, this Ariane clearly had it in her policies.
Yeah.
But what I have found over the years is when I get this kind of pushback, I start saying it in like the IPS appointment. Like if this from now on, Ariane, I think
I'm not sure.
Ariane, I'm sorry if I'm totally hacking your name. I would say in the IPS appointment or in the sales script if you're doing, because it sounds like she might be doing online ordering maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
but clearly you're shipping things to people. So if you are doing IPS and somebody needs something shipped, I would just make sure and note in that, hey, there is a shipping fee. We'll be, here's what it is, or we'll be charging you for shipping once your product comes in. We have approval on it and we're ready to send it out. We'll let you know how much shipping is on that at that time, so that she knows that she's talked to you about it as well as signed the policies for it. Then there's really no reason she can have pushback. So from now on, anytime you're going to do shipping like that, verbally say it, and then that way she won't get upset. But usually when a client is upset, you can backtrack. And I'm not saying this is the case in this situation, Ariane, but you can usually backtrack your own steps and go, ooh, I kind of dropped the ball there. And it may not be a large ball. It may just be a tiny one that is a small issue that you just didn't bring up or didn't think it was important or whatever. And then that, of course, changes the way you do business as you move forward and you chalk it up to a learning lesson. So,
So along those lines, Morgan asked again, if clients are well aware, meaning you've gone over it multiple times, that they will be buying products the day of the reveal, and it still didn't get through to them that they're actually going to be buying products, or ask why they have to buy products, how do you handle that in the moment at the reveal session?
Why they have to buy products? Okay, yes, and I understand. I have had a few people say to me, do we have to order now? Like they do. They say, we have to order now?
Yeah.
And I will basically say yes. In our policies and contract, as well as in the literature I sent you home with from your session, it specifically states that you'll be placing your order at the ordering appointment. Now, if you're not prepared to make an order today, I am happy to add on an additional ordering appointment. Your session fee for this session included shooting the session, enhancing and editing the images, and of course this appointment, this in-person ordering appointment that we set aside a good 2-hour chunk of time for. If you'd like to schedule an additional ordering appointment, I have availability next Friday, and it's an additional $100 fee. So if you truly can't decide, that's no problem. We'll go ahead and just schedule an additional ordering appointment and have you come back, and I can take a credit card for that now. Mm-hmm. So in other words, I'm saying, yes, you're supposed to place an order. If you can't, here's an alternative, but you got to pay for it. And they usually say, oh, well, fine, no, we'll just order now kind of thing. Or the more common thing I run into is a client saying, like, she'll show up by herself at the IPS appointment without her husband. And then she'll be like, oh, I thought I could do this on my own, but I can't. I have to have my husband here.
Yeah.
So what I'll do at that point, which clearly is not a good thing, but it does happen, I'll say to her, okay, why don't you just do a minimum create a collection order? And then that will allow you to take the images home. We'll just give a placeholder for the art piece, the minimum art piece. And then when you go home, you can show your husband the images, since you're getting them all on USB anyway, because that's what comes with Create a Collection. Then you can decide which image you want for your 16 by 20, or if the 16 by 20 isn't large enough, then you can go up in size from there, and we'll help walk you through that and take the additional payment after the fact if needed. So that kind of helps her like place an order and be able to show the images to her husband without you having to make her come back for an additional ordering appointment, or without you having to like put the images online without payment. And that's the big thing. And that's kind of why we have the pricing model that we have, is so that we can make arrangements and solve the issues like this when they come up, if that makes sense. Because Create a Collection has all the images, that gives us some leeway with how we do orders or handle objections like this. So,
well, and I was just going to say, part of that, because we did kind of have a run where people were like, oh, I have to order now. And we kind of backtracked to the fact that I wasn't saying it in a way that was obvious to them. It was too soft of language.
Yes.
So we kind of rewrote our script, our inquiry script, so that people knew when you come back, you're making a purchase, and it's in addition to the session fee.
Yes. And then you're exactly right. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing it up. I also reiterate it more at the session. So she reiterates it in the booking phone call. If we have an in-person pre-consultation, which we haven't implemented as a required thing yet, because we have a lot of new moms who can't make it in. But at the pre-consult, it would be reiterated again if they come in for that appointment. And then after the session is over, when I hand them their little ordering kit, I say, okay, so we need to make your appointment for your ordering appointment, where you'll be placing your order for prints and products, and you'll get to review all the images, and I will help walk you through which prints and art pieces you'd like to display in your home, and you'll be making your purchase at that time. Yep. So I say these words to them as I'm handing this kit and making their appointment for their IPS appointment after the session. I walk through, I actually take the literature out of the packet and say, okay, this is how your ordering appointments, this little brochure is going to talk about how your ordering appointment goes. Our ordering policies are on the back. You will be placing your order at this time. So you're more than welcome to bring your kids to the ordering appointment, but just know that it might be easier for you to make decisions, focus and concentrate on what you're doing a little more if you arrange for babysitting. So I say these kinds of things, and they go, oh, okay, so it's very clear to them that that's and I call it an ordering appointment. Yeah. Like my sister calls it a preview appointment, and it works for her, but I'm just like, no, it's got to be like, I call it an ordering appointment. Like we're placing an order. And I think that language has helped a little bit, and to each is their own. I think
I finished the phone call with that too, because we take session fee to solidify their date that we talked about, to
book their appointment.
They have to pay to book. And then I tell them, so if you want to book today, all that would be due is the session fee, which is, $250 or whatever, whatever session they're doing. And then when you come back for your viewing appointment, that's when you will make final print and product decisions and place your order.
Yes, and you'll pay for that at that time.
Even more than one. Like every time we talk to them, we say it like
over and over and over again. Yeah. It's almost broken record redundant. Like you feel like an idiot because you say the same thing all the time. It's almost annoying.
Yeah.
But hopefully that helps, that question.
What do you say to clients who care more about quantity versus quality? They'd rather have 100 sloppily edited photos than 20 to 30 really greatly edited photos that takes more time.
Oh, we've never run into that issue at all. I think a lot of it depends on your, I think one of the reasons we haven't run into that issue is because of the brand.
Yep.
We're an extremely high-end studio. If somebody did say to me, I want to see all the images, I would very politely respond with, while I shoot, 200 to 300 images per session, we only show you between 30 and 40 final images that are completely enhanced and retouched. The reason for that is most of the other images are duplicates. It's for me shooting the same thing multiple times to ensure focus, to ensure composition. So the images aren't going to look that different. I ask you to trust what I'm doing in terms of actually selecting the images that offer that variety to you. I want to give you more than I probably should, but I also don't want you to be overwhelmed in the ordering appointment. If I showed hundreds and hundreds of images that are repeats, same thing over and over again, you would get overwhelmed, and we would much rather help you narrow it down to begin with rather than overwhelm you with too many images that will take too much time and make things challenging for you. We are all about customer service and doing the work for you so that you just simply get to enjoy your family, enjoy your children, and enjoy the emotion that comes with having your portrait professionally taken. That's probably what I would say, and leave it at that. And then if they push back even further, I would probably venture to say something like, well, if you want that type of photography where things are not finished or complete, we are probably not a good fit for you. I would suggest going to Craigslist or somewhere where amateurs are working to build their portfolios. They will offer you lots and lots of images because, I probably won't say because, but they are offering lots and lots of images, and that's probably a better place for you to get that kind of service. We do things a little bit differently around here. We're a boutique studio. We understand we're not for everyone. We'd be happy to help create a beautiful session for you, but this is, how we artistically do things and what we choose to do. And we've found that it makes it much easier on our clients when they're making this kind of investment in portraiture. So I just basically say, hey, we're high end. We're going to do it the way we want to do it. I'm happy to help you find someone else if we're not a good fit for you. But all in all, this is the way we do it. And that's how you have to deal. That's pretty much what I'm saying in a nutshell. So that's probably how I would address that issue.
Yep. Okay, last one. What if a client is trying to get a refund on their photos and it's very obvious that you have delivered on everything and they're just trying to get everything for free?
That's a tough one. We had that issue. Same client I'm thinking of. It's only happened once in our entire 10-year history.
Yeah.
And we did end up giving her a refund. She was pretty mean on the phone and very angry, and I finally just lost it. I mean, I just couldn't take it anymore, and basically said, well, clearly you're unhappy. I don't want you to be unhappy, so I'll go ahead and offer you a refund. These are like, in terms of clients, the bell curve, these are the outliers. These are the people who do not come across every day.
Right.
And if it was a situation where I felt like I could talk to the person, I might even call out the elephant in the room and just say, hey, it sounds to me like you're trying to get a refund, even though we did everything that we said we would do. While I want you happy, I'd really like to talk this out with you and ask how we can make it right. You hired us. We did the work for you. We did put in our full effort, the best of our ability to make you happy and to provide the best customer service possible, and yet you're still asking for a refund. How can we make this right? If they say, give me a refund, then there's nothing you can do. I mean, at that point, you can try to fight it and say, well, we did everything for you. We're not giving you a refund. But I honestly probably wouldn't go there. I would let the refund happen. Sometimes it's better to cut your losses. That's a sucky thing to have to deal with. I totally get it. And I've been there, done that. But what's interesting is this client came back to me a year later and apologized and tried to pay for her session in its entirety after I had refunded her. So, and I would never cash that check. I mean, it's done. It's done. We made mistakes. We totally made mistakes during that session. And we both did. And once I offer a refund, it's final, and I'm not going to take the money back.
Go back.
So, honestly, I would be hesitant to work with this person again because they were such a challenging client to work with from start to finish. And I didn't know how to handle it. So of course we made some mistakes. Yeah. But all in all,
sometimes you learn from it.
You do.
We've created new policies and moved on.
And I think, like I said, the biggest thing is keeping an open heart, realizing that 99% of your clients are not malicious, mean people. They are not people who if they hire you, they're going to hire you with integrity. Mm-hmm. I very rarely run across someone who hires you and then just tries to get a refund. We hear horror stories all the time. Like I've heard several wedding horror stories where people get their name slandered. And it's not worth it to get into that ruckus. It's not worth it. It can really do a lot to damage your reputation as a business. And that's what you have in your community. Now, will some clients use that against you? Yeah, and they're mean, evil people. And karma's a biatch, in my opinion. Karma will come back to bite them in the booty. And you kind of just have to wait for that to happen. It's not your job to make that happen. So ultimately, I always say take the high road, because that's ultimately what you're going to be most proud of when you put your head down in your pillow at night. You're going to be like, I did the right thing. They didn't. And karma will come back to bite them. So, and that's really what you can leave it up to, I think. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think, Ariane. I'm really sorry if
yeah,
we're totally butchering your name. But in that instance, like there's just some people that you can't make happy. You know, even I'm sure you guys all have friends or some just people in your life that are just negative and they just always have to have something to complain about. You're going to have clients that are the same way and nothing you can do is going to make them happy.
Yeah. And the thing is to just make sure that when you all is said and done, you do the right thing.
Yep.
Even if it's painful and it hurts.
Yes.
Try your best. I think try your best to do the right thing because ultimately that's what will make you happy. And you'll know in your heart that you took the high road.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's easy, you know, I think a lot of our students aren't necessarily as confident as you are or as far along their businesses.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder. So I think like I literally had a piece of paper sitting in front of me for a long time when I did inquiry calls.
I remember that.
Do that. And then in that kind of situation, like think of the worst client you could possibly think of and create a workflow for it. Like, okay, if they have this, you know, if they say this is what my policy is going to be. And this is what I'm going to say. And if they push back with this, then this is what I'm going to do, you know, like build those steps in to, you know, like, okay, first I'm going to offer a free session, see if I can make them happy if we just redo a session. Then if they're still, you know, fighting back before you do the session, of course, you know, just maybe it's not going to be a good fit or whatever it is that you want to say and then refund or whatever it is that you want to do that you feel comfortable with for your business, have it written down because that is going to be your saving grace. Because I'm terrible at that. Like thinking about stuff in the moment, like I have the benefit that I work for Julia and I can just say, you know, most of our clients don't know that I've worked with her for 5.5 years. And so I'll say, oh, I haven't been working with Julia for that long. And I've never had a client ask me that before. So I'll have to
check with her.
And then,
get back to you.
So I'll take their notes down and then I'll like collect my thoughts. Like, okay, they asked this, like, what's the right thing to say? And then I'll call them back like an hour later and say, oh, I had a chance to talk with Julia and this is what the policy is or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of you might not have the benefit of doing that, but I think it's also okay for them to say, they don't need to know that you've only been in business a year. You can just say, oh, I've never had a client ask me that before. I'm not quite sure what to say. Let me think about it for a minute. Like, it's okay to say that.
And I think finally, the biggest thing that I find with most newer photographers is they're so afraid to let a client walk. Like they're so afraid to say, hey, we're not a good fit. Not every client is your client. And that's okay. Because I know it's such a hard balance because it's like money versus no money, you know, like client versus no client. Like, what are you going to pick? And when you're trying to build your business, all you want to do is get the money in the door and get the clients. But some clients aren't worth it. Some of them are not worth it. And think about it. Would you want to take on a client who's not the right fit for you? Because that client eats your time. And your time could be spent marketing to other better clients. So balance what's worth it. Sometimes it's best to just say, hey, we may not be the right fit for you. This is what we do as a studio. If that doesn't fit within your expectations, then we might want to consider helping you find someone else who does fit your expectations. This is what we provide. We want you to be happy. So let's talk about this up front before you make the commitment and then end up unhappy down the road. I think that being able to say that and being able to cut your losses at the beginning and say to someone, hey, you know, we may not be the right fit for you. This is how we operate. So based on your expectations and what I'm hearing, I might want to refer you to someone else. That is customer service right there. That is being able to refer to your competitors and a client goes, whoa, oh, okay. It's kind of like that, you know, when you were dating and like the girl or the guy was kind of like playing hard to get, you wanted them even more. Like when the guy
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's like the hottie guy texts you at the bar and then you like text him and he doesn't respond. You're like, hey, wait a minute.
I can play that game.
I can play that game too, you know? And so that's kind of what you're doing when you say to a client, hey, you know what, we may not be the best fit. Let me help you find someone who is. Then they go, hey, wait a minute, you don't want to work with me?
Yeah. Wait, I can be a good client.
Oh, you know, there is a little bit of that going on. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to use that. You know,
Yeah.
obviously not.
And it's always nerve-wracking.
It is always
Like,
nerve-wracking.
it's easy for us to talk about it because we have been doing it for so long.
Mhm.
But I don't want to say that to people.
No.
Like, I don't want to tell them that we're not a good fit.
Uh-huh.
But like Julia said, that's our time. Your time is precious, especially a lot of you that are working other jobs, are moms.
Mhm.
Like, that's time you could spend with your family or marketing or, you know, doing your job that makes your family the bulk of your money or whatever. So it definitely is a delicate balance.
Well, and as you grow in business, you learn that time is more valuable than money. I only have 24 hours in a day. You only have 24 hours in a day, right? So I look at those 24 hours. I need to maximize the amount of money I can make in those 24 hours as much as possible. There's only so much that I can do. So the ways I can combat that is by only targeting the clients who are going to meet my average sale, who are going to be quality, high-paying clients. I can minimize that by scaling my business in other areas. I can bring in employees whom I can pay a certain wage rate that's, you know, lower than my own since I'm the owner of the business, but that person can do the work for me that I can then free up my time to be able to make higher paying work elsewhere. Does that make sense? Marketing for new clients coming in the door, working on education or whatever that may be. So you learn as a business owner that time is way more valuable than money, way more valuable. All of us only have a specific amount of time, and we need to maximize each dollar that we can bring in during every minute of that time. Does that make sense? So hopefully this helped you out, you guys. I hope you liked having Belinda. We always love having Belinda with us. This girl's amazing, and she's so bright and talented. And, you know, she talks to all the clients for that booking inquiry, and that's where a lot of these issues occur. And she's become really good at handling those phone calls and those wording. So I wanted to bring her in. And thank you for doing the freebie.
A lot of that's in the freebie.
Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for joining us today here for episode 32 of JTV. We are coming back next week, I'm pretty sure. We don't have a topic yet. We'll think of one as the time goes by. We're casual around here.
You'll see the face.
You'll see the faces. We'll be back next week here in the Facebook group. Until then, we hope you have a wonderful week and download that freebie at jewel-tv.com. See you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.